Today I want to talk about what is going on with Texas, in particular its offense. Tom Herman, Joe Brady, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always O-related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Texas and what the hell is going on with the University of Texas, in particular its offense and how it has played the last couple of weeks. But first, I want to encourage you, sign up for my newsletter. There's a link in the description below. And if you do so between now and December 7th, you will be entered to win the Hertz lamp. It's an OU lamp. Maybe you're an OU fan, maybe you want it, maybe you're a Texas fan and you just want to ritualistically, pour lighter fluid on it and set it on fire, because that's what it seems that Tom Herman has been doing to your season. I make jokes, right? And I'm going to circle back around to Joe Brady in just a second here. But first, what is going on at the University of Texas? Because the idea that the University of Texas has had 10 straight years of 4 losses or more, I have a hard time fathoming. Not only because, Oklahoma is the squad, but I have a passing interest in the rival to Oklahoma football, which is the Longhorns, and everything is better in the Big 12 Conference when Oklahoma and Texas are good because everybody wants Texas to be good. Everybody puts Texas on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Everybody wanted Tom Herman to be National Coach of the Year, and Sam Ehlinger is a terribly likable individual, and I enjoy him quite a bit. But it seems that Tom Herman doesn't want Texas to be good. And I make jokes. Of course, Tom Herman wants to be good. He wants his offense to be good, but it just hasn't been. Because against Oklahoma, they didn't run the ball well. And when they did, they just didn't keep giving it to Roschon Johnson to let him continue to just wreck Oklahoma's defense when he got the chance in the second half, which is what I would have done. They abandoned the run against Texas Christian, kept running 4 verticals, and you saw Sam Ehlinger throw pick after pick in that game. And against Iowa State, they could not run, which is astounding because Iowa State is built to stop pass plays. They run 3 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 DBs. They run an umbrella defense. They run a modified version of sag and tackle. And Texas could not run against Iowa State. And now we're talking about a Texas team that is not only 6-4, but 4-3 in Big 12 play, with losses to not just Oklahoma, but 6-4 Iowa State and 5-5 Texas Christian. Now, the only team that likes to beat Texas down more than Oklahoma might be Gary Patterson. I'm calling Gary Patterson a team to himself because he really does not like the University of Texas at all. And then you got Matt Campbell styling on you as he has finally done the thing that no Iowa State coach had ever done before, which is beat every member in the Big 12, going all the way back to the Big 6 when it was the Big 6. No Iowa State head coach had ever done that. And then in the black unis, they are singing Sweet Caroline as Texas fans and Texas players leave that stadium, Jack Trice, dejected. To which I ask this question, and I'm being totally sincere here, and this is not meant as a joke. Who are the people that Tom Herman trusts to tell him the truth? Who are the people that Tom Herman trusts to say, hey, this ain't a working? Who are the people that will tell him, hey man, maybe Tim Beck ain't the way to go. Maybe you're not the guy to call the offense anymore. Maybe when it is 4th and short or 3rd and short, you don't call QB power to the right. Maybe it is time for this offense that Urban Meyer ran really well, and you called really well at Ohio State, to be overhauled in a year where you had what was, a couple of years ago, the best running back in the state of Texas in Keontae Ingram. You have trees at wide receiver, Brennan Eagles, Colin Johnson. You have a 100-meter dash finalist in Devin Duvernay. You have one of the best all-purpose players in the 2019 class in Jake Smith. And you managed to convert Roschon Johnson into a really good running back. He might be all Big 12 second team this year if he's not careful. And in a year where Sam Ehlinger was supposed to be in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy in the way that Jalen Hurts is now, because it was Texas fans who wanted to say, hey, isn't Jalen just another version of Sam Ehlinger, and aren't they both just other versions of Tim Tebow? Well, it would not seem to be so, as Jalen Hurts has passed for over 3,000 yards in 10 games, and he's also going to go over 1,000 yards rushing, and he's very much going to get an invitation to New York to be a Heisman ceremony finalist. He won't win it because that's Joe Burrow's award, but that's where I'm going with this. LSU was stuck in the dark ages. Not as far back in the dark ages as some, but it was stuck in the dark ages when it came to its offense. They wanted to run I formation, pro style 1995. That is who LSU was when they won a national championship with Les Miles, when they were there with Saban, and when Ed Orgeron took them over. And Orgeron, to his credit, overhauled all parts of LSU's program, beginning with the offense. Not only did he give Steve Ensminger another opportunity to call plays, they brought in the wonderkin that is Joe Brady, who is not even 30-ish, right? And we're going, yo, maybe Joe Brady needs a raise. But the more I looked at Joe Brady, the more I was just kind of, this dude just knows what good offensive football looks like because he's a gym rat, or I should say a film rat, and pays attention. This guy came out of William & Mary, where he had to walk on at William & Mary. Now, William & Mary is also kind of a, like, not so secret coaching hotbed of talent, to where, you know, you got guys like Mike Tomlin coming out of there. I think there are 4 NFL coaches that came out of William & Mary, including Mike Tomlin and Sean McDermott. And then you got, of course, Joe Brady, who did a stint as a quasi-linebackers coach at William & Mary, and then bounced around to being a grad assistant at Penn State, was on the staff in a small way at the New Orleans Saints. And when the Saints were invited down to LSU, he did some stuff on the whiteboard. Steve Ensminger liked what he saw. A year later, he went to Ed Orgeron and said, hey, let's bring this guy in, see if he can't help us with the passing game. And Joe Brady became the passing game coordinator at LSU, giving Joe Burrow a modern offense that he was much more familiar with running, and a guy that was recruited to play for Tom Herman at Ohio State in a Tom Herman scheme has turned out to be the best quarterback in the entire country because they gave him a modified version of the scheme. What I'm saying is Tom Herman is still a scary judge of talent, and they are still plenty capable of putting together top 5 class after top 5 class at the University of Texas. But maybe it is his offense that needs to be overhauled, as we are all in on what it is that you do with your power spread, okay? Spread people out so you can run. You have a so-so passer at quarterback who's gotten better. He's certainly gotten better, Sam Ehlinger, but it ain't like JT Barrett was going to play quarterback in the NFL. Cardell Jones washed out and is going to be starting in the XFL. Braxton Miller washed out and was made to play wide receiver and return punts. That ain't the kind of athlete that the NFL wanted. They want Joe Burrows. They, to a degree, want Jalen Hurts, who is basically Dak Prescott. You saw what Lincoln Riley was able to do with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. Perhaps it is Tom Herman who needs a change because he's not going anywhere. I mean, I did this upload because it was asked in my live stream whether or not I think that it is time for Texas to cut bait, in which I said, no, it's not. But I can understand why, because with losses to Iowa State and TCU, those aren't teams that you're supposed to lose to in Texas. And while Tom Herman has had now back-to-back 4-loss seasons with a Sugar Bowl win against Georgia in a 10-win season, I know this. He was recruited to beat Oklahoma. That's what he was hired to do. And as long as he beats Oklahoma, he buys himself another 3 years, all right? So that what he had last year in the Red River rivalry, tack on another 3 years to that. So this year, he's fine. He's not going anywhere. And he's a strong-willed individual, and he believes in himself utterly, and he believes in the people around him utterly on that staff. Now, we could talk about whether or not he's too hard on his kids, and we could talk about whether or not the kids just quit on him or not. But I don't think that that's what I want to focus on. What I want to focus on is the scheme needs an overhaul. Do you think that Sam Ehlinger could do what Joe Burrow did last year, or this year, compared to what he did last year? Because Joe Burrow was above average last year. He was not this. And what changed? The scheme changed, not the personnel terribly. They just changed their entire identity offensively. And maybe that's what it's going to take at the University of Texas. And why am I so interested in the University of Texas? Because I want them to be good. I like them to be good. I think that it's better for the Big 12 because there are only 2 teams in this conference that everybody cares about. And I'm tired of Oklahoma having to carry this conference on its back with Texas not being ranked at the end. And when they're ranked at the end, it's good for Oklahoma because they beat Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. They're ranked when they play in the Big 12 championship and vault in the college football playoff. Now Oklahoma's going to have to hope that Baylor gets back to the Big 12 championship or gets to the Big 12 championship, I should say, and then beats TCU, beats Oklahoma State, and they still might not make the college football playoff, in large part because Baylor does not have the cachet that Texas had. Because if Texas was undefeated at 9-0, there's no way in the world Texas would have been ranked number 13 ahead of a clash with Oklahoma. We're talking about a top 5 matchup, period. Top 10, easy, right? Because that's how much people really want Texas to be good. Like I said, I want to beat up on a better opponent. And a better opponent would have been a more talented Texas football team. Because if I ask a regular Big 12 casual football fan to name 6 players on the Baylor football team, they could not do it. they can get to 6 really quick with the University of Texas, and that's what college football is about. It's branding, right? Ohio State gets the benefit of the doubt more often than not because they're Ohio State. Remember 2016? They didn't win a conference title. They made the college football playoff. Why? Because they're the Buckeyes. Baylor didn't get to say that. Ask Texas Christian how that felt when they beat the hell out of somebody, still missed the college football playoff. The social cash, the branding, the blue blood, it all matters, right? And that's the reason for wanting Oklahoma to be good if you're a Texas fan and want Texas to be good if you're an Oklahoma fan. That's why you had some people who thought it was a good idea to root for Texas to beat LSU as Oklahoma fans. No, that's not how this works. You don't do that. But if Texas were to win that game, it's like, cool, that means the Red River rivalry is worth that much more to everybody else. And now that Texas has lost to Iowa State and Texas Christian, one, you have all kinds of carnage on message boards from Orange Bloods to Horns 247. And that loss by 7 points to LSU doesn't mean as much because what Texas used to say, or could say, was that, hey, we had losses to 2 undefeated teams. And then it was, we have losses to 2 teams ranked inside the top 10. And now it's, we got losses to 6-4 Iowa State, 5-5 Texas Christian, and we got to play Baylor later on this week. You got to get this figured out, and you got to get it figured out in a hurry. Tom, perhaps now is the time. Overhaul your offense. Give Sam Ehlinger something else to work with. See if you can't make a run at this thing next year. All right, that is it for me. Deuces.